Cops probing double murder in Montego Bay. Police are probing a double murder after two men were shot dead on the Tokomain Road in St. James Friday night. The dead men have been identified as 32-year-old Jerome Evans, otherwise called Ricky, and 37-year-old Jerome Longman, otherwise called Q37. Both men were from retirement in the parish. Reports reaching reporters indicated that around 10:15 p.m., residents heard a barrage of explosions, saw Evans' body and alerted the police. Lawmen rushed to the scene and saw Evans in the middle of the road beside a motorbike, suffering from what appeared to be gunshot wounds to the head and upper section. The area was cornered off and a search of the scene was conducted. During the search, Longsman's body was discovered lying in bushes, about 26 feet from that of Evans, the police stated. Longman's body had what appeared to be gunshot wounds to his abdomen and left foot. Police took the men to the Cornwall Regional Hospital, where they were pronounced dead by doctors on duty. Detectives found 24 9mm Spence casing while processing the scene, the police stated. Barber shot dead while trimming customer in Portland. A barber was shot dead while trimming a man at his barber shop in White River District in Buff Bay, Portland, Friday night. The dead man has been identified as 44-year-old Tyson Delarno Bowen of a White River District address. Reporters understand that around 7:50 p.m., Bowen was in the shop trimming a meal when a gunman entered and shot the barber several times in the left side of his neck. The gunman then fled. Residents alerted the police, who went to the location and rushed Bowen to the Anatomy Hospital, where doctors pronounced him dead. The body was removed to the morgue. The scene was processed and a manhunt launched for the gunman. Police have not given a motive for the attack. Idona welcomes second son, shares picture online. Dancehall artist Idona and wife Kimberly Megan recently welcomed their second child together. Idona, during his performance at Yush in December, announced that his wife had given birth on December 18. The artist shared the heartwarming photo of himself smiling while he is holding his almost month-old son swaddled in a blanket. Idona in late December announced that he would be taking a break from recording music for a few months to focus on his family. The couple tragically lost their first son, Caliph Lawrence, in December 2022 after a 3-year battle with cancer. Cops launch probe after resident find man's body in Clarendon. The body of a man was found by a farmer in Bryantland district in Clarendon on Saturday morning. The dead man has been identified as 48-year-old Wilbert Sidram, otherwise called Buju, a resident of the district. Reports were that around 7 a.m., a resident was on his way to tend to his animals when he stumbled upon the body of the deceased and notified the police. Lawmen arrived at the scene and saw the body of a male clad in a gray shirt, gray night pants, multicolored diamond socks, and multicolored slippers. The body was lying face down and had what appeared to be wounds to the right side of the neck, the police stated. The body was positively identified at the scene and transported to the Maple Hospital, where it was pronounced dead by doctors on duty. It was later removed to the morgue. 2 9mm Spence casings were found while the scene was being processed by the police. Body of an unidentified man found in St. Anne. The body of a man who is suspected to have been murdered between Friday night and Saturday morning was found in Limehall, St. Anne. His identity has not yet been released. Reporters understand that the man was shot and killed. Reports are that residents heard explosions and summoned the police. Upon the lawmen's arrival, the body of a man was seen with gunshot wounds. Police sources are theorizing that a high-powered weapon was used to kill the man. Female decomposing body found in St. Anne. The decomposing body of a female was found in Cape Valley, St. Anne on Friday. The deceased has not yet been identified. Reports from the police are that about 3:29 p.m., the woman's body was found lying face down in a house. The police were summoned and her remains removed to the morgue. Motorcyclist killed after racing with flashlight in St. Mary. A motorcyclist who was reportedly riding with the aid of a flashlight is dead, while another he was racing with is hospitalized following a crash in St. Mary on Friday night. The deceased has been identified as Morris Ireland of Anatomy in the parish. It's reported that the incident happened as Ireland and the other motorcyclists were racing along the Devon-Penn Main Road in St. Mary. Both men reported they lost control of their bikes, which later collided on a section of the road. Ireland reportedly died on the spot. The other driver was transported to the Onondaga Bay Hospital where he is admitted. Preliminary police reports are that the bikes were not licensed and were not equipped with headlights. The Castleton police are investigating. 23-year-old St. Catherine Mason shot dead. A 23-year-old Mason was shot dead in the community of Guys Hill in St. Catherine on Friday night. The man has been identified as Sava Fitzgerald, otherwise called Shocker, from Cock Mountain in Guys Hill. Reports are that about 8 p.m., Fitzgerald was having a drink at an establishment when he was attacked. He was found on the ground with what appeared to be a gunshot wound. The police were summoned and Fitzgerald was later pronounced dead. No motive has been established for the shooting. New overtime policy for public sector workers by March 31, says Finance Minister. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark says the government is working to finalize a new policy to govern overtime payment for public sector workers by March 31, the end of the current financial year. Clark says the government has been actively working with public sector unions and staff associations to arrive at the final policy. The new overtime policy is being developed under the controversial public sector compensation reform that was implemented over the last 12 months. It involves approximately 40 public sector unions and over 100 public bodies. Clark says a feature of the reform has been the rationalization of allowances paid to the public sector, and chief among them is payment made for work done outside of normal working hours. Prior to the compensation restructure, there were several different methodologies across the public service and across several occupational groups to compensate for work done outside of normal working hours, he said in a statement on Friday. These arrangements were categorized by a lack of equity, inconsistency of application, and in some cases, payments made whether or not work was carried out outside of normal working hours. These arrangements did not allow for the most efficient delivery services to the Jamaican people. The minister says the new policy will establish clear and consistent principles to govern the treatment of work done outside of normal working hours and guidelines for the application of payment. A proper management system will also have to be established within ministries to ensure that the policy is implemented in a fiscally sustainable way, Clark adds. Under the old system, some categories of workers were paid duty allowances regardless of whether they work overtime, while others who did additional work did not benefit from the allowance. In other instances, persons would be able to claim overtime after working past a set time of the day, but with the changes, managers will be able to roster people at various times of day to first cover the 40 hours work week. Prime Minister Andrew Holness suggests that conflict resolution be a curriculum subject in schools. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has suggested that conflict management be taught as a curriculum subject to children in schools as part of measures to stem the increase in crime and violence. This in the wake of growing concern about violent incidents at educational institutions in recent months, some of them fatal. Speaking to students at Manchester High School, the Prime Minister described the matter as being a crisis proportion. Mr. Holness added that conflict management skills will also have to be imparted to parents, citing concern about violence in homes.
The government has to be direct and instrumental in dealing with this problem of violence in a frontal way. We are going to have to incorporate the schools now to deliberately teach in the curriculum how to manage conflict. It is going to have to be a curriculum subject. When I was Minister of Education, we established something called the National Parenting Commission. And that was precisely because we understood that there has to be a solid link between the home and the school. What is being taught in the schools must also be reinforced in the home. So yes, the two-pronged approach. We will be dealing with the schools directly about treating with conflict and about dealing with violence and building peace. And through the National Parenting Support Commission, we will also be carrying this message to parents to see a transformation of our society.
Man hospitalized after oil spill causes several accidents in Trelawney. A man is in hospital after an oil spill caused several motor vehicles to crash on a section of the Northern Coastal Highway in the vicinity of Rock in Trelawney on Friday evening. Reporters were reliably informed that the spill was reportedly caused by a motor truck. According to the Trelawney police, the oil spill resulted in a number of crashes. The lawman said the man in hospital had to be extricated from the vehicle. He was taken to hospital. Head of the Trelawney Police, Deputy Superintendent Winston Milton said the victim did not succumb. There was an oil spill and there were several collisions as a result of the oil spill in the vicinity of Rock along the North Coast Main Road, but there was no fatality. Shanique Gallimore, a motorist who drove past the vicinity, said the experience was frightening. It was such an experience cause I'm the first time I experienced that. You have to drive at a speed and you cannot hold on to your brake. You have to maintain a nice 50 or 60. It's a good thing my boyfriend was behind me driving. Just have to be grateful, she said. 2 charges dismissed against businessman in car sales fraud. 2 of the 11 related charges filed against businessman Akeem Adamson for failing to turn over a total of nearly $35 million to customers whose motor vehicles he sold has been dismissed. The charges, both for fraudulent conversion, were dismissed in the St. James Court on Thursday after Adamson and 2 complainants completed court-ordered mediation and the businessman agreed to make restitution. He remains in custody awaiting trial on similar charges related to 2 other complainants in St. James who are owed a total of nearly $11 million and 7 complainants in St. Anne who are owed at least approximately $20 million. Donovan Collins, the attorney representing Adamson, acknowledged in court that his client collected monies from the complainants but said it was not done under false pretense and there was no intention to deceive. Collins explained that Adamson, a licensed car dealer, has business partners in Japan who fail to honor their end of the business arrangements to ensure that motor vehicles reach Jamaica in a timely manner. He said his client recognized the problems almost 1 year ago and took the necessary action to ensure that approximately $40 million was refunded to some customers. But he said Adamson's arrest disrupted that process. He returns to court in St. Anne on January 16 and in St. James on January 18. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.